People need an income that's guaranteed to them.
If you lose money to taxes, you're never getting that money back.
You need to get serious about adding some lower risk.
Greed. I don't like greed.
The thing to be afraid of, honestly, is the thing that we're not thinking of, the black swan event.
There's a tsunami coming. Bye.
Welcome to Retirement Coffee Talk with Charisse Rivers.
Just coffee talk.
There's a lot of noise, a lot of chatter. Who do you listen to? Who do you not listen to? You have to stay focused.
A fun and informative look at the issues of wealth, retirement, and protecting your life savings.
These advisors out there that were trained to sell, and have all these fees. They don't want to talk about this product, so they make less money.
And now, Retirement Coffee Talk with Charisse Rivers.
Hello again, and welcome to Retirement Coffee Talk with Charisse Rivers at Zinnia Wealth. Online, you can find us at zinniawealth.com, ZINNIA wealth.com. And we're glad you found us, whether you're listening on radio or our podcast, whatever. We appreciate you tuning in, and we are here really to talk about this time called retirement and getting ready for it and some of the anticipation and the anxiety that goes along with it. A lot of people get pretty nervous at this time when they start talking about walking away from their job that they've held for so many years, and all of a sudden it's now up to you to generate that weekly paycheck. So we'll talk through that coming up as we go through the show. And Charisse, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm waddling in the office because of the days of gobble are over, and now I've got to really get back on track.
Okay, the word plumpy is going to be used at some point today, I'm sure.
Yes, plumpy. So now we're off, and we're all going to be dieting till Christmas until we do this again. So it's always a fun time period, and decorating for the holidays. Our office is decorated, and just a fun time. I love Christmas. I think I love Thanksgiving more because there's no gifts. I don't want to get gifts. I don't want to give them. I don't need them. And I think it's just a good time for family just to get together and just, eat and talk about the year. And so I'm a big Thanksgiving fan. And Christmas, I don't know. I love decorating. I love the Christmas feel for sure. But the presents I can go without.
Okay. Is Ella and Eli, are they the ones, do they help you as you go through the house and do the tree and do all that stuff?
They
or do they have about 5 seconds worth of attention span, or how does it go?
Yeah. So no, it's a forced family event. Oh yeah. So we have a company come out. Sean and his team, they come out and they decorate and they get all the high stuff, the trees and the roof and that kind of stuff. But the kids get to do a lot of the groundwork, and we will all day long on Saturday put it all together. And it's a lot of work. I usually am the last man standing and till like 10 o'clock at night, but we always have pizza by like 6 p.m. We start at like 9 a.m. and we go. The kids know that's the plan. And I think they really do enjoy it. Kids need to get out more. And so this is something I look forward to every year. And I think they do too, especially my son, Eli. He's 10 now, and he's like really, really wanting to get more and more involved. And Ella, who's 15, she's like, So she comes and goes. So I usually get my ranger over there, Eli, will stick it out with me for most of the day. So
is there still a competition in the neighborhood? Because I know that you are a little bit competitive.
Yeah, so we always have a decorating contest in the neighborhood. They do trees and they do the outside of the house. We never do the tree one because I got the popcorn and the jam and the jelly and the everything on my tree, so it's not very pretty, but it is fun. But yeah, so we have placed in the competition 4 years in a row now. Nice. And my kids literally just asked me, Mom, we're going to win again, right? We're going to compete again. I'm like, no, let's let somebody else do it. Luckily, there's 3 awards that are given. And I said, well, we're not going to put up as much as we normally do. They're like, what? No blow-ups? I'm like, I think we're going to skip the blow-ups. They are not happy with me. So I have a feeling they might win this battle, and we'll put the blow-ups again. So we'll see. It's just nice to give other people chances. We have a lot of new people in the neighborhood, and we want to encourage them all to get involved. And so I am competitive, but I think I'm getting to an age where, let's share and be merry and let somebody else do all the work.
I like it. Well, we want you to have an award-winning retirement, and that's why we are here to talk through that. And at this time of the year, here we are already into December. We're just about to close the book on this year. And this is the time time of year when, people start making predictions about what's going to happen in 2025, and they do that about the stock market. And we're going to give you two today that are really not very much alike. Morgan Stanley believes the S&P is going to go up 11% next year with an outside chance of going up to 30%. So that's very optimistic. And then there's Goldman Sachs, and they're saying they're encouraging people to pull back on risk and diversify and get ready for some difficult times. So that's one end of the spectrum to the other. Now, do you deal with that when people come in? They listen to these things. Yes. Do they want to act on these things? It's literally they're trying to say I'm a market timer. And so tell me about that.
Yeah, we certainly don't do market timing here like that. And a lot of people, they're feeling really good and they want to get more invested, take a little bit more risk. I am starting to notice that. But we do have people coming in and they're hearing like, well, I heard this and then I heard this and should we be doing this? And like, no, this is what we need to do. Based on your plan, we stay the course based on this, but we can have a little outlier if you're feeling a little bit more comfortable based on what your income needs are. And then we'll just adjust. So people do change when change happens, right? 30% would be amazing, right? If Morgan Stanley is correct about that, I'll take 6%, 7%, 8%, and I'll certainly take 30% for our clients. So a lot of noise out there, but we don't know what's going to happen in the future. Just a month ago, we were talking about this recession looming in 12 to 24 months. It's still there, right? And I don't know all the magic that's going to happen, right? I can't predict that the market is going to keep going up. I can't predict that it's going to go down. But the economics in the economy are showing that it doesn't look great. But, let's not be a naysayer or a fearmonger. Let's have a plan. Let's figure out how much should be at risk and how much shouldn't be at risk. And let's make sure what we need for income over the next 5 years is buttoned up. So we really don't have to worry about it. And, I had somebody who came in recently for their review and they said, Sharice, I really want to reallocate and make some changes. I said, great, because I have some ideas already built out for you. And so we really did a total flip-flop in their portfolio. And we have 5 options for that one client that came in. And one of them was, hey, I want to take some money and I don't want to be totally risky with it, but I do want an exit strategy. So we put that into our ETF portfolio that has an exit strategy, right? And it allows us to move 50% of their at-risk money into cash and treasuries if the market were to tumble. Then we actually sprinkle in a small annuity, an indexed annuity, one that doesn't have fees, that's invested in the S&P 500. And then I said, well, if you're more confident and you want to take a little bit more risk, why don't we go into our opportunity zone portfolio? And that one basically says, hey, we're going to look at the Russell 1000 every quarter. And based on a score and math and algorithms, if it's going to hold 100 of those top 100s, we're going to have those that quarter. And then the next quarter, we're going to remeasure and weigh. And if some of those need to come off because there's better scores out there with maybe possible better choices, then it's going to sell off and then buy some more. It's a little bit more risk. And they're like, yeah, I do like that. I want a little bit more risk there. And then I said, then if we're going to do that, let's add another portfolio where we do more of a dividend, where we have 3.5% to 4.5% dividend portfolio that also trades every quarter if something needs to be traded in and out. Like if a company says, hey, we're not paying a 4% dividend, we're going to 3, we're getting out of it and we're finding the one that does go to 4, right? So that's the strategy there. And then they said, well, what about these notes you always talk about on radio? I was like, oh, I love those. We have a dual directional note, and it allows you to make money when market goes up, and it actually allows you to make money when the market goes down to certain levels. So they said, okay, so that's a great hedge. So it was a complete change up from what we had done the year before, and people are feeling a little bit more confident. But we made sure no matter what, we relooked at their income plan, and we said no matter what, for the next 5 years, your income's coming from here. So I need this to not be the volatile money. And they said, totally agreed. And I said, as the years go, we can refill that bucket of money and go from there. And so we just have a very well-oiled system here in how we manage money. And it's not a one-size-fits-all. I had another client, not a client, a new person come in and said, well, we have Fisher Investments. And it's just a 60-40 portfolio. So why are you so different than some of these other fiduciaries out there? Because we are fiduciaries. And I said, well, we believe in more of a balanced approach, not a one-size-fits-all, 60-40. and charging you fees and not really doing anything but rebalancing once or twice a year. We believe that there needs to be more done when it comes to portfolio management because we can't predict the future. And what happened the last 10 years might not happen the next 10 years. So we want to be a forward-thinking company. We want to be that fiduciary to you. And customer service is key here. But in anything, we want to protect your income. That's the biggest part.
Well, what I get from that is what's right for you. I mean, we're going to tailor-make this for you. We used to call it a tailor-made retirement plan years ago. That's what we talked about. And that's exactly what Therese does. Different risk levels for your comfort zone. Maybe you have all of your money in Roth and pension, and you don't need tax strategies as much as the next person does who has $1.5 million in a 401k, and they really need some tax help. So it's going to be customized to you. Let's sit down and talk through it together. You see those headlines out there. That's okay. Come in with the stories. If it worries you, let's talk through it. 833-368-3680 is our number. We'll do a portfolio x-ray for you. Basically, that's a meeting to sit down, get to know you, find out what you want to do in retirement, where you want to be, and then take a look at what you've done. And how do those two things match up? How are you doing saving for retirement? Let's find out. 833-368-3680 or use our website, real easy there, ZinniaWealth.com, ZINNIA Wealth.com. Click on that gold box that says complimentary retirement consultation, and our team will reach out to you. Speaking of taxes and 401ks and such, this is that time of year, Sharice. We are in December, and I know that, if we're going to have a meeting, we got to get her done in the next 2 weeks here.
Yes.
But one of the things that we always talk about is that window of opportunity, December 31st. There are certain things that close off to you. So let's talk about what those fourth quarter meetings are looking like right now.
Yeah, I'm swamped, by the way. We are all swamped. And it's normal for this time of year because RMDs, if you've ever had a 401k, an IRA, a retirement account with your employer, when you turn 73 or 75, just depending on your age, of course, and your date of birth, you have to start pulling money out of these retirement accounts. This is your RMD phase of life. Whether you want to take them out or not, you have to take them out. And it starts at about 3.65%, but it's actually gone up a little bit recently. And every year it goes up, but it never goes down. And so those people who are out there and you're driving, maybe you're listening to us right now, you have IRAs. And if you're over 73, hopefully you have taken your RMD or it's on autopilot and you're getting it. Because if you don't, January 1st, you have a nice IRS penalty of 25% for not taking it. So we don't want to miss that deadline, which is right now. And it takes these custodians sometimes 2 to 3 weeks to process paperwork. So it just needs to be done ASAP. So all of our clients, we sent videos and emails and voice recordings. Hey, this is your deadline. Let's get this taken care of. And so we were busy with that, but we're good to go now. So the RMD IRA deadline is upon us. So don't mess that up. Don't forget to take those RMDs. And yeah, you got to pay the taxes on it. But hey, we got a tax plan for that if you have any questions about that. So that's one deadline. But let's talk about the second deadline, Randy, the Roth IRA conversion. So your 401ks and IRA. So let's just talk about the IRA. The deadline is December 31st. That means if you have an IRA, you can roll money over to a Roth. And if you're going to do that, you have to do it for this year by the end of December 31st. So right now you want to get that paperwork done. And a lot of you say, well, Sharice, if I roll that IRA to a Roth, well, I got to pay the tax bill. And you do. To roll IRAs to Roth, all that money has been tax deferred. All the growth has been tax deferred. You do have to do that. But for a lot of people, there's a huge reason to do that because every dollar in that IRA and 401k that you own is 100% taxable to you, then your surviving spouse who has to pay a higher tax once you've passed away, and then to your kiddos who have an even bigger tax on their hands, right? And so that would be a good reason to consider doing it, why taxes are down, right? This is the time to take advantage of taxes. And I know that President-elect Trump wants to keep deductions the same and keep the tax brackets the same, but I don't know what's really going to happen when taxes expire here in 2026. But if he does, that means we might have another 4 years. So you have 2 years now to 2026 and maybe another 4 years. So we have 6 years to start converting IRAs over to a Roth and take advantage of it because we're in a massive amount of debt. We got a big deficit, and eventually somebody's got to, give in, and the taxes have to go up, right? Or standard deductions go down. So it's going to happen. So now we just have an amazing opportunity. I would call it at least 6 years to roll these dollars over and maximize the taxes at this point. So deadline, December 31st every year. Get that done this year. You don't want to forget it. And then one of my favorites, Randy, can you guess which one that is?
You're going to talk about tax loss harvesting, aren't you?
I do. I love tax loss harvesting. I know, everybody, I'm a geek. So tax loss harvesting, you want to get that done by the end of the year. And what you're just basically doing is that if you need some cash flow next year and you're trying not to add to your tax bill for this year, you can sell some of your winners, some of your losers in your brokerage accounts and pay zero taxes. A lot of times it's not always a perfect story, but majority, we always find those duds in your portfolio and then some of the winners that you're trying to lower the exposure to so that you can enter next year without having paying the taxes this year and have some cash flow for whatever those needs are. So we have most of our clients do that. And again, deadline. If you don't call in this week, we will not be able to get to you. And I hate to put that pressure on you, but we've been talking about that for a while. So come in because we will do that tax plan for you absolutely for free, which people are like, you do that for free? My accountant doesn't even do it for free. Well, not only does your accountant and CPA not do it for free, they don't do what we do. We do the tax strategies. They're just doing the accounting, the bookkeeping. And so you have to come to us to get the actual tax plan because most CPAs don't know how to do it and nor do they want to do it. So they'll send you over to us and then they'll ask for my statements. Oh, we love what you did, Sharice. Here, can you send them to me? And so we do it all the time, and we do it for free, which is nice. So yeah, you guys, this year we've got a lot going on, right? We have a few weeks left, and we have to take our RMDs. If you're considering rolling your IRAs to Roth, you got to do that by the end of the year. And if you're going to do tax loss harvesting, enter the next year with some cash flow without paying taxes, we got to work on that plan too. So we are getting very close. And we are one of the very few firms, financial firms, that does the tax plans. I do them all the time. When our clients come in for the reviews, we relook at it and say, hey, what do we want to do this year? And it's so important to have that advisory firm that not only just manages your money and comes up with great ideas and creates an income plan, but also is looking at the projection for the next 30 years while you're in retirement and how to potentially lower your taxes in the future and or pay zero taxes in the future if taxes really go sky high. So we have to have the conversation. We're happy to do so. And we do look forward to seeing you. And if it's not this year, then we'll try to catch this wave next year.
All right. Here's our number and our website once again, 833-368-3680. And time is running out on us for this year, so get us in the next week. It's 833-368-3680 or our website, ZinniaWealth.com, ZINNIA Wealth.com. We're going to take a break, and we're going to talk more about 401ks. There is a new option that you really might be interested in that's going to pop up in 2025, perhaps with your employer. We'll talk through it and get Sharice's opinion on whether or not you should act on it. That's coming up next on Retirement Coffee Talk. Welcome back to Retirement Coffee Talk with Sharice Rivers at Zinnia Wealth. Online, you can find us, ZinniaWealth.com, ZINNIA Wealth.com. And when you go to the website, tool around a little bit. On the navigation bar, you can see education. There's a drop down there. It says useful guides. There's a whole bunch of stuff there. You can download about 401ks and Medicare and all sorts of different retirement topics. If you go to our media tab there, you can see our podcast. So if you're listening to the show and you got to get out of the car or something like that, you got to go. That's okay. You can listen on your own time. You can find us on our website, on Spotify, on Apple, YouTube, all that stuff. So check us all out there, and you can hear Retirement Coffee Talk. Okay, so one of the reasons we get into a 401k, for sure, is to save for retirement. Another great reason is if you have a company match. That's a great thing. Well, the IRS has a new rule in 2025. We'll see how many employers adopt this, but the idea is if you have a match, you can choose whether or not you want that match to go into your retirement account, or it can go into another account, kind of like an HSA, and that can be used to pay off student loans and medical bills. So we always talk about people in their 60s trying to go back and forth. Should I save for retirement or should I pay off debt? Here's an opportunity to do both at the same time. But there's some pros and cons here, Cherise. So if somebody came in with this, how would you advise them?
So I am not a fan.
You're not a fan? Okay.
Absolutely not a fan, because we need to just practice being good stewards of our money, using the income we have coming in, being more responsible with it, and slowly paying off our debt with those dollars. That means don't stop at Starbucks every day, right? And if you stop only once a week, maybe do it once a month. And so people spend money like we are going out of business. I'm going to tell you that much. So I'm not a fan of it. I know emergencies come up. So for the absolute dire emergency, it is nice. It's flexible. So I think they need to tighten up the reins here. But I'll be honest with you, I don't think your match should go to the HSA, you know, because your HSA is already working for you. And so the HSA is for your health care, right? And so, listen, this is a hard topic for me, Randy. I'm trying not to be a Dave Ramsey over here.
Well, what I hear you say is you're kind of borrowing from your future. That money that you're putting away for debt is going to hurt you because you don't have it compounding into the future.
You lose the power of compounding on your money for retirement. If you ever want to retire, you have to start saving and not borrowing from it. And you got to let it compound, and you got to let it invest, and you need to put money in, and your employer needs to match it. That is how the world works when it comes to retirement planning. And now those matches are amazing. It's great when a company offers these matches, but if now they're going to allow you to pay off your debt or do other things with it, put in the HSA, which some people won't understand. There's the other problem. They're like, oh, the HSA, I've always wanted one. Yeah. Oh, I just got the HSA, Cherise. And so, you know, I think I'm going to put my match over there to build that healthcare environment and those dollars to come out for the healthcare. Don't worry. You guys are going to have healthcare benefits. You guys are going to get Medicare. You're going to get all these amazing deals out there when you get ready to retire. I'd rather those dollars be sitting in an account growing, so that when you do want to retire and turn in those keys to retirement and walk out the double doors with your last paycheck, you're ready to rock. And so what is going to happen, in my opinion, there's going to be all these options. People are going to pay off their debt because they're listening to Dave Ramsey, pay off all your debt. And there's nothing wrong with that. Yes, I want your debt paid off by the time you get to retirement, of course, but I'd rather use the dollars coming in for income. I'd rather use the dollars as you're getting your raises, up your 401k contributions, but not to pay off your debt. I would have you do that personally. And, you know, we got a retirement crisis here. We don't have enough people saving money. The next generation, I think, is definitely going to be saving more money than the middle generation that we're working with right now. Baby boomers did an amazing job, and they're still saving money. But I think we're giving too much leniency, and I think a lot of people know that when their parents, the baby boomers, pass away, they're going to get a nice chunk of money, and so they're just going to keep spending it. And yeah, spending money is great. It helps build the economy. It goes back into the stock market and all those types of things, but I'm not a fan of it. I've never been a fan of something like that. What I want people to really think of, instead of paying off debt and putting it in the HSA, let those dollars compound, but let those dollars compound in a tax-free zone. So I would rather you don't take all this as like, oh, we can spend money, we can pay down that. Take it as, hey, you know what? Let's take Sharice's advice. Remember, you got to come in and see us, number one, so we can really weigh out your scenario. If you're making these decisions, you're thinking, oh, this is going to be great in 2025 or 26, we're going to take advantage of that. Come talk to us first, and let's just see if there's another way first. And sometimes you just got to do what you have to do. But I'd rather you put that match into a Roth 401k because you're building up that tax-free retirement in the future. And as you listen to our show, we're trying and we're begging people and we're working with them and doing tax plans saying, hey, let's get these 401ks and these IRAs. Let's put it into a Roth because we are in the lowest marginal tax rate we've ever seen in our lives. We also are in the highest debt we've ever seen in our lives. And eventually this is going to catch up and implode, and taxes are upon you all. And the ones that have saved more and more and more in those 401ks, you're the one who's going to be paying more of this debt back. So your dollars, you're helping Uncle Sam right now because you're going to pay pay more later. I mean, it has to happen one day. And so instead, if you start putting those matches into a Roth 401k, and if you have a 401k, you can also, most companies are allowing you to do a Roth 401k, maybe do the Roth 401k and take that match and put it into the Roth also. So I want you to think more tax strategy right now more than anything, because we got a big bill to pay. And the people who pay it are the ones who have saved the most amount of money, and the beneficiaries that receive the legacy will also probably lose 30, 40, 50% of that legacy going straight to taxes. So let's help the kiddos, let's help the widows, let's help us now and really pre-plan for that.
Well, I think that one of the reasons we talk about coming in early, a couple of years before retirement, is to have this exact conversation. Getting rid of debt is something that you could do systematically for a couple of years before you actually retire, and Charisse can put you on a schedule and help you with that. And then that main decision, maybe all your money right now is going into a 401k. What if they have a Roth 401k option? That might be something that you look at in 2025 and looking forward. So a lot to talk about. We would love to have the conversation. Give us a call. Here's our number. 833-368-3680, 833-368-3680, or ZinniaWealth.com, ZINNIA Wealth.com. Hit that gold box that says complimentary retirement consultation. We'll ask you to fill in a little information there, and our team will reach out to you. We are going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about a study that's out there. People are saying this is the number one thing that you should be talking to your financial advisor about. Yet, when they talk to people with financial advisors, they said they're not talking about it. Well, we'll talk about it, and we'll talk about it next here on Retirement Coffee Talk. Welcome back to Retirement Coffee Talk with Charisse Rivers at Zinnia Wealth. Online, ZinniaWealth.com. Go to our website today and tool around a little bit. Learn more about Charisse, and there's so much you can learn just on the website, along with the radio show here. Go to that guide. It says education, then it says useful guides. Click on that. Lots to learn there and download and kind of scroll around. And you can actually make an appointment right there on our website, or give us a call at 833-368-3680 if it's time to talk about your retirement. So when you talk about retirement, what should you be talking about? Well, obviously, we talk about it all the time. We want to replace that paycheck. But what we're finding is, even though that's job number one, some financial advisors aren't doing it. This is a study from Allianz, and it says half of investors don't have an income plan. Only 27% of people with an advisor say their advisor has an income plan. Charisse, that is shocking, and it is like, well, what the heck do you have an advisor for if they're not going to build you an income plan?
Very well said, because job number one is figuring out what the paycheck is going to be. And most people retire and they don't know what the paycheck is going to be. They retire, they collect Social Security, maybe you're lucky to have a pension, and then they have these retirement accounts and other dollars saved, but they don't spend it because they are afraid they're going to run out of money. So a lot of people are living in retirement too frugally, and they're not enjoying retirement the way they could because they don't have a financial advisor that actually teaches and coaches and educates on the income plan and when to take it and from what bucket. Let's talk about the withdrawal strategy. More people come in and say, Charisse, I don't have an income plan and I don't know the withdrawal strategy. I am stressed out about the withdrawal strategy. Do I take it from this IRA or that IRA or this Roth or from this brokerage account? And so they stress out about that phase. So we have to really clearly paint that picture to say, okay, this is the plan. And hey, if the plan gets a little derailed, maybe we need more money, or maybe something happens with the markets, or who knows, this would be maybe an alternative plan. So there's backup plans to all of our plans, and we just bob and weave and adjust as we go. But the one thing we want people to know is that, yes, we are living a little bit longer. I mean, Harvard scientists said, hey, we could easily live to 150 years old. Oh, goodness gracious. I should have been a plastic surgeon. I didn't want to know what it looked like at 150 years old. So we need extra money for that, by the way. But if some of us do, because, hey, you're doing the saunas, you're doing the cold plunges, you're just eating healthy and keeping away from those EMS, what do they call those, Wi-Fi waves that are just really bad for you on your cell phones? Like, I don't know if I just want to live to 90. I want to make it to 90, but I want to make sure personally my paychecks, I don't outlive my paychecks. And so I understand the retiree, our advisors do, our staff does, and it's a sincere concern. It's an emotional concern. It's psychological. And so, I'll have a household come in, Randy, and one of them's ready to spend, and the other one's like, no, I want to save. And they come in, and we're the mediators, and we try to meet them right in the middle to make them both happy. But we have to show them how, hey, if you follow this plan and based on this conservative plan, this is where your dollars will be most likely in 10 years on a pessimistic approach, and on a positive, better approach, this is what it could look like. So we want to show you all the ways that the plan could look, and then that will help you figure out if you really do want to spend more money during your go-go years while you are your healthiest, right? When you retire, you better get out and go, because you have about 10 years before aches and pains and other things happen, and I've seen it all. And some people not even live longer than a year, or health just kind of takes over our lives sometimes. And there's always that I woulda, shoulda, coulda. I didn't know this was going to happen, or I didn't know this was going to happen to my spouse, and now I can't go anywhere because now I'm doing care duty. So there's a lot of concerns there. So let's button up those paychecks. That's your number one. When we figure out your tax plan and we figure out your income plan, then we can figure out the rest in the investment plan. But unfortunately, a lot of people don't get that service, and that is the number one job.
Yeah, I think that you hit on it there when you said there's a lot of people that feel they're not going to be able to spend the way they want to because they don't have the confidence, because they don't have a plan. And
right.
In this survey, it said 48%, almost 50% of people say they think they're going to have to live too frugally, and they're not going to enjoy their retirement. And that actually brings me right to this story here. One of the places I love to go is to Market Watch and go to the Ask the Advisor column, because you get real life stories of people who are in retirement and some of their frustrations. And this is a woman who's writing in. She says, I'm 67. My husband is 70. We have saved $1.2 million for retirement, and my husband's doing a good job. He's getting 5% on that money. Add that up, that's $60,000 a year. We get $2,900 each month for Social Security. Seems like it would be enough money to enjoy retirement. My husband insists on living only on Social Security. I've worked hard my whole life, and I want to enjoy our money. What can I do? So, I mean, this is a situation that's
Lock them up in the basement, honey. Just kidding.
You see this all the time, don't you?
I do.
A couple that one wants to spend and one doesn't.
It is so normal, Randy. Every household that comes in, I would say 1 out of 10, they're both on the same page. Let's spend our money. Let's do what Cherie said. Let's do our go-go years. And so I get that. But the other 9 out of the 10, there's one, and it could be man or woman. One's like, oh, I want to save. And the other's like, no, I think we can spend now. We've been saving our entire eternity and paying off debt. And it's a fun appointment for me because I know where we're going to go. And I just have to show them the path and the way and just educate them a little bit that we can. But yes, oh my goodness. So they're living off almost $35,000 a year on Social Security income. And boy, what a good steward of their money. I mean, they clearly got all their debt paid off, and the fact they can do that. But the thing is like, where's the road trip? Where's the beach trip? Where's the, hey, we're going to do this for the kiddos, or hey, maybe we'll go on a cruise. So you have to be able to do those things. And if you have concern, let's say there's somebody out there listening right now, and I'm speaking to you, and you're probably managing your own money, most likely. And if you're the gentleman, let's just say, I know you're very concerned, and you have probably a nice fixed income that covers the gas at the gas pump, the grocery bill, the light bill, and you do little dinners here and there. But you're not out there buying that new bed that you need to enjoy your sleep at night for the next 30 years. So you're being frugal there, and maybe you're saving there. You need to go spend those dollars to take care of your body, because you only get one body and you get one chance at this, right? And so take care of your health, but be okay spending some money.
Well,
and if you're not okay spending the money, that means you're either with an advisor, you're managing your own money that hasn't explained it nor showed it to you. And if you're worried about inflation, like, I got to worry about inflation, Cherise, well, we're going to show you that in the plan, adjustable income every year that keeps up with inflation. You got to see it, and you got to see it to believe it. I've always said that to people. And the unfortunate thing is that, what do they say? 1 out of 5 people actually get an income plan out there across the entire country. So I can see why people are being frugal and why they're so worried, because they've heard all these stories about so many people running out of money, and they don't want to be that person. And so, listen, come in and see us, because that's what we do here.
So, Charisse, what I got to read through between the lines here a little bit. It seems to me like this guy is in that situation where they've saved this money, they've done a good job, and so they want their money to kick off income or kick off interest, and they want to live on that. I don't want to touch my principal. Is that a financial retirement sin, getting into your principal, or is it an okay thing to do?
It is an okay thing to do. I will tell you, 100%, most retirees don't want to get into their principal. They want to earn the interest. They want to live on the interest. So if one year you make 20%, most people aren't going to live off that 20% interest. They'll let it compound. Mm-hmm. So it is actually kind of hard to dig into your principal. When you dig into, I'm glad you asked that question, Randy, because when we're looking at the income plans, people come in, they tell me what they're doing, what they're spending. And what I look at right away is, when do we see failure in the portfolio? And I show it to you, put it up on our screen. And some people, I just had someone come in. I said, listen, when you retire 5 years later, we are seeing failure in your portfolio. Uh-huh. That means that either we're going down in our growth, and that also could mean, another 10 years down the road, now we're biting into that principal. And so there's a couple of steps that we need to make. We need to, really change this portfolio up and do a few different things, or you need to spend less money. That means they're spending more and they're taking a bigger withdrawal than what they have saved. That's when we start to risk running out of money. But I will tell you, there's a lot of people over time, you might find yourself biting into your principal because you need money to live on, or maybe a spouse passes away, or the taxes go super high. So if you have $1 million and then you're 90 years old and that $1 million is $800,000, I'm going to say you've done pretty well overall. I don't want that $1 million to be $150,000. And when we build this income plan, we're going to see when you get into the red. And I will say 5 out of 10 people, before we start helping them, they get into the red right around 80 years old. And if one of you happen to live longer, remember, Harvard scientists are saying we're going to live to 150 years old, some of us, right? God gracious. I mean, these guys are smart. I mean, Harvard, I'd listen to most of the things they say. And I'm pretty sure they mean our kids are going to live to 150. Right. And so we want to make sure that one spouse, and it's typically the women, we live longer by 7, 8, 10 years. If you both are 80 and one of you pass, the other one could live to 90. We lose a Social Security check. Maybe you lose a pension. So we'll start to see failure there if we have not built a plan into that 20 years before that event even happens. So this is why it's important to work with an advisory firm that's showing you, hey, if one of you pass away, now we really see failure in your portfolio. So if we do this, that, and that, you can see now we don't have failure if somebody passes away. So it's just bobbing and weaving. It's all about asset allocation, being diversified, not just setting it and forgetting it, and being proactive in retirement. And that just means you don't have to know everything. You need to come in at least annually and just restructure and rejigger things as we go, as the economy is changing.
Well, I love the idea of sitting down and saying, okay, let's do the math on the retirement and see when I get into the red, and if I get into the red, and if I do, how can I fix that? And a lot of us, we don't have those kind of expertise, and we don't have the software to do it, but Charisse does. We can run for you a portfolio x-ray, which is exactly what she's saying. Okay, you bring to the table your 401k, your IRA, your Roth, all these different things that you've done to save for retirement. How long does that last according to your lifestyle? And if we run into a snag at age 79 or 80 or 81, whatever it is, let's fix it now. Let's build a plan for it. Give us a call. Give us a look at our website, zinniawealth.com, ZINNIA wealth.com. There's a gold box there. It says complimentary retirement consultation. And you click that box and you'll put in a little information there, and then we'll call you and we'll get a date on a calendar. Or you can just bypass all that and call us. 833-368-3680. 833-368-3680. Again, online, zinniawealth.com. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're talking about this all the time. If you don't have a financial advisor in your life, give Charisse a call and let's run that portfolio x-ray for you. If you do have a financial advisor, we say the same thing. If you come in for that second opinion, why is it that people come in, and what do we usually discover when we take a look at some of what these other financial advisors have done? That's coming up next on Retirement Coffee Talk. Welcome back to Retirement Coffee Talk with Sharice Rivers at Zinnia Wealth. Online, zinniawealth.com. You can also find us, of course, in our podcast. If you have to get out of the car and you can't listen to the whole show, well, listen on your time when it's convenient for you. You can go to iTunes, you can go to Apple, and you can also use Spotify. You can go to our website, too, and you hit the media tab there, and all the shows and lots of interviews, lots of things there for you to comb through. That's at zinniawealth.com. Well, I always say there's two kinds of people that listen to the show. You either have a financial advisor or you don't. And for those of you who do have a financial advisor, our message is for you as well to say, here is what Sharice says about retirement. She lives in this area. This is where she specializes. Go ahead, compare it to what your person is saying. And if it brings up some questions, come on in and let's talk through it. So, Sharice, what is it that you see when somebody comes in and says, yeah, I have an advisor, but you kind of intrigued me with some of the things that you've said. That's why I'm here. What do you discover of why they are coming in for that second opinion?
You know, let me tell you the history of Zinnia.
Okay.
And how we became who we are and why we are where we are today. When I first got into this business, I was so cookie cutter. Mm-hmm. Oh, cookie cutter, I'm telling you. Everybody was a snowman. And a retiree was a retiree, and we did all the same things. And then we started getting larger clients coming in because they liked us. But then they said, well, we don't want a cookie cutter approach. That's what I'm doing now. And so I would lose clients and they wouldn't come on board with us. And I'm like, okay, I got to not be cookie cutter. So how are we going to fix this cookie cutter strategy? So then we started, going outside, talking to leaders out there, other financial advisors that done it the right way. And so we started implementing little pieces. So the cookie cutter was cut into different pieces now, and not everybody was doing the same thing. And year over year, for almost 20 years, we're always bringing something new. We're really honing in on this tax plan. Like, we have killer tax software right now. You go to your CPAs to get your taxes done and yada, yada. But, we're helping your CPAs help you maximize these taxes at the same time. And so we're teaming up with CPAs now. We're teaming up with attorneys now. We didn't have that. There were other things that we slowly started building in so that we're really focused on the holistic plan, not just the investment plan, not just throwing all your money in annuities, not just throwing all your money in the 60-40 portfolio, not just doing annuities in 60-40, really coming up with a large balanced strategy where you have sometimes 5 different types of portfolios doing different types of things at different times of the market, right? So I think what people look forward to when they come to us, that second opinion, is how is she not cookie cutter like my advisor now? How is she not cookie cutter like Fisher Investments? How is she different? And we really do woo people and rein them in, because we don't start with your investment plan. We start with your income plan, and we listen. Oh my gosh. One thing I've definitely learned, you have to listen to what people are saying, not just, bypass the most important things of what their wishes and their dreams are and what their stresses are, like really hone into those types of things. So I think people appreciate that we are advisors that listen, and we complete a plan based on what they're telling us. We're not telling you what to do right away. We're listening to it, and then we're creating a plan around it, and then we give our advice. So I think people believe that cookie cutter is not the best approach anymore. I think people now realize that the customer service where they're at isn't what it maybe used to be, or maybe somebody took over the firm, and it's not the same, right?
Well, we did a story last week about why is it so important to be an independent advisor, and I would imagine if somebody sits down with you and plops their portfolio down without even looking at the top header of where they're from, you look at all the funds that are in there, and you can say, well, this is a Raymond James portfolio, or this is a Fisher portfolio. I've seen it 100 times before. You're not different than anybody else. So that's one of the things that we want to make sure that that you are treated as an individual at Zinnia Wealth. And being an independent advisor, Sharice, you have access not just to what's at Ameriprise or what's at Merrill Lynch, but you have access to everything.
Yeah, we do. We really do have access to everything, but I'm very protective. I'm protective to my clients. I'm protective what you get into. I'm protective who the model managers are. I'm protective onto what we're purchasing just in stocks if we're doing the buy and hold stock portfolio. If you're going to get an annuity, I'm ultra very protective. You know, there's thousands out there, and there's only 3 I would cherry pick from, you know, because those are the ones that are really giving our clients the highest returns in the S&P 500. I'm protective when it goes to who and what CPA are using. I'm protective to the attorney, because some attorneys charge you $4,000 for a will and trust versus using our attorneys who's going to charge you $1,500, right? There's people who just act like a fiduciary, but they're really not a fiduciary. And so we want to be cautious with costs. We want you to get the customer service you need. We want our attorneys and CPAs delivering, you know, right when you need it delivered. So we're very particular and protective, and people need that. People want to know that they're taken care of. People want to know that when the market's crashing, something is happening. Mm-hmm. They want to know when they need their income checks, they're coming. That's what people want. I call it old school customer service. It's so easy, right? Just give people what they need and what they've always deserved and what they wanted, and then they'll be happy. They want to know they can go on a cruise or go on a trip for a month and not have to worry about what the stock market's doing. You know, I had a young guy, he's 55 years old, and we just changed his portfolio again. He said, Sharice, I really want artificial intelligence and Bitcoin. So I have an artificial intelligence portfolio that trades once a year, and I also have a Bitcoin portfolio that trades once a year. So for those people who want the higher risk and those emerging technology features, we have those. But I'll tell you, most of my clients don't have that. But our younger clients, they do. They want that little bit of risk. They have 10 years before they want to retire, and they want to get involved into those things that they don't know how to. So, you know, we listen to what our clients' wants are, their needs are, and we keep on adding, and we keep on getting creative. And it really is a winning solution for all of us. And I think people just appreciate that. Like we did some big transition recently, and our clients are super excited about it. Nobody's nervous. They're just like, what's next, Sharice? What do you got? And so, and you know, we send out voice messages every Friday. We're sending out videos every Friday. And we're going to keep doing that because people just want to know, hey, I know all of us advisors can't talk to you every day, but hey, here's a message. This is what's happening. Here are the changes. And people appreciate that. It's so simple. And I think our industries has gotten away from that, and they don't care because it's so easy to make money in this industry and then get away with it. And no longer can you get away with it.
Well, as you can see from that, Sharice is a mama bear protecting her kids and her family, but she's also a mama bear protecting you and your money. So we would love to have that conversation with you. If you have an advisor right now and you just wonder, hey, is there anything else out there? Or Sharice talks about stuff that my person isn't talking about at all. Well, give us a call and let's do a portfolio x-ray for you. We'll go through that portfolio, and if there's something missing there, you're going to want to fill that gap. 833-368-3680. 833-368-3680 or online at zinniawealth.com, ZINNIA wealth.com. Click on the gold box in the lower right-hand corner. It says complimentary retirement consultation. Well, one of the other reasons that people will leave their advisor and go to somebody else is because of fees. They start to figure out exactly what they're being charged, not only for their investments, for what this advisor is doing. 70% of Americans don't understand that they're paying fees in their 401k.
Or their mutual funds, or a lot of other things that they own.
Exactly. So this is a big topic. I know people will leave someone for a lower fee, but then they'll find out I'm not getting as much service. So those two things have to go hand in hand, don't they? Yeah.
So let's talk about the story of the financial service industry. They make money, they lose money. When you do better, we do better.
Oh, yes.
And when you do bad, we still do pretty good. Does that sound familiar?
They don't do the second half on the TV commercial, do they?
No, they don't. Gosh, we've been really picking on the F word today.
Yes, we have.
Not on purpose. It's just the way it's going out. Listen, and I know you all know, like when markets crash, the advisor still makes money, and there's nothing happening. There's no exit strategy. There's no buying and selling. You have to call in and say, stop the bleeding. I've lost 25% to sell me out. And then you get emotional and sell out at the wrong time. You're ticked off at your financial advisor. I know how you feel. So not only do you have to worry about all of that stuff, We got to worry about fees. Fees. When you retire, it's a stomping ground. I call it a hunting ground in North and Central Florida. And everybody advisor is coming in from out of town trying to reap the benefit of taking advantage of retirees. And they just think it's okay to charge 2% in fees. But most of you don't even know they charge 2% in fees until you come in and we do a portfolio x-ray and I'll show you your fees. You're like, oh my gosh, I did not know that. A $1 million portfolio that's charged 2%. Think about that, $20,000.
A year.
A year.
Wow.
And then over 10 years, we're looking at 200,000. Yeah. Over 20 years, we're looking at 400,000. And 30 years, we're looking at over 600,000. That's a lot in fees. So if you could save half of that fee, that would be great. If you can save just 0.5% of that, that would be amazing. So, and this is why we do that portfolio x-ray, because we truly believe that knowing where your fee structure is, and can you exchange a mutual fund for an exchange traded fund and save 0.5% or 1% and still have the exchange traded fund make the same amount of money as that mutual fund? Yeah, you can. And so this is why we take a scalpel to your portfolios when you come in, and we do that portfolio x-ray to show you. And if you're interested in saving money on your portfolio, give us a call. It's really that simple.
That's one of those things that I've learned from Charisse is to look at these things over the long term. Don't just, when you say 1% per year and you go, okay, but 1% per year, and now she's talking about 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, $600,000 in fees?
Yeah.
What could I do with $600,000? Wow.
And that $600,000 could be making money. You could be gifting it. You could be spending it. And not all your money should have the same fee built in. Not all of your money should have fees at all. So when you come see us and our advisors, we're going to show you, hey, this portfolio has no fee. This portfolio has a 0.5% fee. This portfolio has this fee. You get to pick, but if we're building this income plan, we need a little this, a little that, a little that. But if we can keep your fee under 1% on average, and even lower for a lot of our clients, wouldn't you want to know?
Yep. I think that's a great, great start for the conversation. 833-368-3680 is our number. 833-368-3680, or online, find us our website, zinniawealth.com, ZINNIA wealth.com. There's a gold box there. It says complimentary retirement consultation. Click on that. You'll be on your way. Charisse, that is the end of the show for today. I'll give you the last word.
All right. Well, let's get in high gear and keep on our diets till Christmas comes, so we feel really good about everything. And tune into our podcast, Retirement Coffee Talk. We're on Apple phones. We're on Spotify, iTunes. You can even find us on YouTube. Get to know us. You can click the rewind button and see what we're saying, because we said a lot today, and we're getting close to the end of the year. And if you're in a certain season of life, you want to tune in and see what that checklist of items are you need to complete in the next week or two. Live by design and not by default, and we'll see you here next week.
This has been Retirement Coffee Talk. To find out more about how the strategies we've discussed on this program can build the retirement you've been wanting, call Zinnia Wealth at 352-368-3680 or visit us online at zinniawealth.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Zinnia Wealth Advisory, LLC, a registered investment advisor. The firm only conducts business in states where it is properly registered or is excluded from registration requirements. Registration is not an endorsement of the firm by securities regulators and does not mean the advisor has achieved a specific level of skill or ability. Insurance products are offered through Zinnia Wealth Management, LLC, Florida license L078655, and Charisse Rivers, Florida license P037744. Zinnia Wealth Advisory, LLC, and Zinnia Wealth Management, LLC are affiliated entities. The information presented is believed to be current. It should not be viewed as personalized investment advice. All expressions of opinion reflect the judgment of the presenter on the date of the podcast and are subject to change. The information presented is not an offer to buy or sell, or a solicitation of any offer to buy or sell any of the securities discussed. You should consult with a professional advisor before implementing any of the strategies discussed. Any legal or tax information provided in this podcast is general in nature. Always consult an attorney or tax professional regarding your specific legal or tax situation. Any client experience discussed on this show are unique to that client. Annuity and life insurance guarantees are subject to the claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. If you withdraw money from or surrender your contract within a certain time after investing, the insurance company may assess a surrender charge. Withdrawals may be subject to tax penalties and income taxes. Persons selling annuities or other insurance products receive compensation for these transactions. These commissions are separate and distinct from fees charged for advisory services. Insurance products also contain additional fees and expenses. Social Security rules and regulations are subject to change at any time. Always consult with your local Social Security office before acting upon any information provided herein. References to specific investments should not be construed as being past specific recommendations. The returns for various indices discussed in this podcast do not represent the performance of the firm or any of its advisory clients. Returns do not reflect the impact that advisory fees will have on an investment. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. All investment strategies have potential for profit or loss. Different types of investments involve higher and lower levels of risk. There is no guarantee that a specific investment strategy will be suitable or profitable for an investor's portfolio. Historical performance returns for investment indexes and or categories usually do not deduct transaction and or custodial charges or advisory fees, which would decrease historical performance results. There are no guarantees that a portfolio will match or outperform a specific benchmark. Investments in fixed income products are subject to liquidity risk, market risk, index rate risk, credit risk, inflation risk, purchasing power risk, and taxation risk. Because bond prices fluctuate continually, their yields change constantly.